Have you ever considered buying a wooden boat? I never had considered buying a wooden boat. I mean, most of us have, like, you know, aluminum boats, fiberglass boats. I don't know anybody who has a wooden boat anymore. Once in a while you see someone that's like a flower bed somewhere or something like that, but I never see any ones that are like actually in use where people are, you know, operating a wooden boat. But that doesn't mean that they don't make them anymore. You can actually still get wooden boats, and they're really not as expensive as you might think. However, they do come with a caveat. You have to put it together yourself, but there's also some ways to help with that as well. So it's not like you're having to get a whole bunch of woodworking tools and handcraft it and have some way to steam planks or anything like that. No, you can actually get a kit to be able to put together a wooden boat. Quite frankly, some of these are a little bit tempting. And that's what today's video is about. I'm going to go to Chesapeake Light Craft and take a look at their wooden boat kits and some of the things that they offer. Because maybe for some of you, or even me, a small wooden boat might be something that could be in our future. You guys make kits for people to build their own wooden boats, and you ship them all over the world.
Yep. Our peculiar specialty is helping people build boats. And we are geared somewhat more towards the first-time boat builder, but we also have a whole bunch of catalog stuff that's for more advanced or professional builders as well. But people build boats from our plans, from scratch. They can build them from kits where we've cut the parts out like an airplane model. They can come and build their own boat in a class at one of the locations we have all over the U.S.
You have a class going on here right now, don't you? This is one of the boat building classes right here. If you notice, they're all working on the exact same type of boat. They hold these in Annapolis throughout the year and a few other places throughout the country. And basically, for people who don't want to build a boat all by themselves, you can sign up, come and do this week-long class with an instructor and with other people building the same kind of boat that you're building. At the end of the week, you're pretty far along with having a boat.
We have over 100 specific designs divided into kayaks, canoes, rowing boats of various stripes, sailing boats, of course, we have a lot of those, and powerboats, and more recently, a Teardrop Camper, which
I saw that.
Anything to do with boats? Yeah.
You sell many of those Teardrop Camper kits?
It's one of the most popular things we've ever done.
I have a few friends who are really big into Teardrop Campers. Let's look around at some of the things you have here, because I'd love to see how this all works and take a close look at, like, I like this Lighthouse tender Peapod right here.
Sure.
How big is this?
It's just under 14 feet.
Wow.
It's a big 14 feet, though. Length isn't size. It's deep and wide and big payload. So the essential characteristics are this: that they were double-ended boats that row well, sail well, and are very stable.
How many hours does this take to put together?
This is a longer build. It's got quite a lot of surface area, so it's all in the finishing. It's amazing, like so many things like this. It's a fairly straightforward build. I think if you were just an absolute beginner builder, who'd never built anything before, we'd probably say, build one of our dinghies or a kayak or something before you take on this one, because it's a lot of epoxy and fiberglass work, relatively speaking. And fairly high parts count compared to a lot of our sailboats.
So the pieces of mahogany for this, they come with the kit, right?
They do.
That's awesome.
They've been milled more or less to the right shape. We can't ship 14-foot long sticks, basically. So the parts are generally 8 feet long, and there's a scarf joint. And there's one in here someplace. They basically disappear, so there is a scarf joint.
The fact that you can't find the scarf joint is awesome.
Well, yeah, that says a lot about it.
It really does, yeah. So there's our 8-foot mark right here where this is.
Yeah, there's that line right there.
Yeah,
so that's just another one right there. Yeah.
So if I go to just kind of tap against this almost doesn't even sound like wood. It sounds like it's a composite material, and that's because it's plywood and it's encapsulated with the epoxy and resin.
The wood is structural. The wood is sealed behind layers of epoxy and or fiberglass, depending on kind of where in the boat. So this boat has a lot of glass, kind of from the waterline down, both inside and outside. You get the durability of a fiberglass boat, but the look of a wooden boat. And this is a style of construction that's been around now for about probably 30 to 40 years, really. It's been refined a lot in the last 25 years, to be sure.
So if I was to order a kit, not necessarily this boat because this is very complicated, if I was to order a kit, would I need any like crazy tools or would I just need basic stuff? Because everything comes pre-cut. Basically, your biggest work then is the sanding.
Sanding, some of them you might want to have a block plane to trim parts to length, depends on the project, varies a lot. So it's just small hand tools, block plane, wood rasp, cordless drill you're going to use a lot.
For stitching and gluing, right? Stitching?
Yeah, I mean, if I wanted to go build a stitch and glue boat, like most of the boats in our catalog, I could get on a plane and take all of the tools I need in my carry-on.
Talking about stitch and glue, let's go look at some close-up stitch and glue.
Stitch and glue, the ideas are pretty straightforward. First of all, you don't need anything but a pair of sawhorses. There's no mold. Most traditional boats, you build a mold and then you bend the wood over the mold. These things, you simply join the parts at their edges with copper wire stitches. Why copper? Because it has the right ductility, and if you end up leaving them in the boat, they're copper, so they're not gonna work. It's basically like if you've peeled a banana and you want to put the banana peel back together again, that's essentially like stitching and gluing a boat. When you lay the banana peels out flat, they look kind of odd, but when you put them together, they look like a banana. I say this because people sometimes open these kits and are like, these parts don't look anything like a boat. Just join them again on their edges, and they can't help but create the shape of this. In this case, a little ultralight canoe called the Sassafras 12. It's been popular here.
Wow, that is light, yeah.
This one is going to come in under 30 pounds. So here's a stitch. This one, in this case, it's holding this bulkhead in while the glue cures. Nowadays, the computer actually drills the holes for the copper wire. So you don't have to drill the holes.
Really? So these come
like 95% of them.
Wow.
Sometimes you need to poke one in there once in a while, but
right.
But they also, the great thing about that is that it indexes everything. And here are the famous / infamous puzzle joints, which we now use in all of our boats. When you glue those, then the computer drilled holes will get filled with epoxy. So you just have to go back and drill them out again. Right. Sometimes if you have some part that wants to fight you a little bit to come together, then you'll drill another pair of holes, stick another wire in.
But yeah, that beats drilling every hole that's in the boat, because now that I'm really looking at it up close, I realize that all along here, everywhere, these are all stitch.
Yep.
Intersections. So
right. So
wow.
Yeah, it's this boat is now structurally rigid, but what comes next is some fiberglass reinforcement, actual fabric on the inside and outside. Particularly in this boat, it's kind of the floor of the boat. These are just temporary bulkheads for shaping. You end up with this kind of monocoque shell.
Buying a kit with that would already come with the amount of copper wire that you should need for stitching?
Kit. There isn't much hardware in a boat like this.
Right.
But yeah, it's got spools of copper wire. This boat has a thwart that goes in the middle. It's a nice ash thwart. That's something we go ahead and finish shape that for you. And then there's a comfortable seat that's in the kit as well. And the fiberglass is there. The epoxy, and there's an epoxy kit with pumps and things like that. Really everything except the final finish, because we don't know what color you want to make it.
Right.
Whether it's varnished or what you're going to do.
Very cool. Let's take a look at some of their machinery.
This is a Teardrop Camper kit, one of the boxes.
Right.
We can look and see what the boxes look like in a second. They call this a pendulum machine. It's got 2 cutting areas, so while it's cutting that end, the operators can unload this end and reload it with a fresh sheet of plywood, and then, so it can keep running all the time.
Here you can see some of the boxes shipping out with some of these kits. So as you can see, none of these boxes are longer than 8 feet long, and each kit is usually a few boxes. And box 1, 2, and 3 get shipped out together, and then you have your kit to build your boat. I'm pretty impressed with their operation there. The way the kits are put together, how it all works, and quite honestly, how easy it looks like it is to build your own wooden boat. Obviously, it's labor intensive. It's pretty time consuming with all the sanding and fiberglass work, but it looks like building the basic structure really isn't that hard. A lot of this really comes down to is sort of really what somebody is willing to do, like how much work they're willing to put into something like this. And that's what's intriguing to me, because I have that Boston Whaler boat, which needs several 100 hours probably worth of work and some money and some materials. And I wonder how much more or less work it would be to build my own wooden boat. I also don't know whether I really have what it takes to build a wooden boat. But luckily, the guys over there at Chesapeake Light Craft hooked me up. Because one way to kind of get an idea whether or not you have what it takes to build a wooden boat project is to, well, build a wooden boat project. And so this is a 1/8 scale scale model kit. If I can put this together and I enjoy it, maybe I might like working on a wooden boat. So of course, if I do end up building this kit, you'll see it here. I'll post something about that. But until then, I think you should watch this video I have up over here. Yeah, I'll put it right over here. Check out this video. Thanks for watching, and let me know your thoughts on wooden boats in the comments below.